Do you want to know the best way to grow your Roth IRA? Is it managing it yourself? Is it hiring an advisor to do it for you? Is it having it actively managed or maybe even self-directed? I'm not sure, but in this video, we'll be digging into exactly that. Welcome back to stage 4, growing your Roth IRA. This is one of my most favorite stages. You know, your IRA takes attention, and growing it is something that you're going to have to do over the course of your lifetime. It's not something that's going to happen on its own. You are literally going to have to watch and grow your investments year over year over year. And the question is, are you the type of person that wants to do this on your own? Or do you want to have a professional who manages investments for a living manage your Roth IRA for you? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the person, some of the character traits of people that love to do this on your own. And you know, if that's you, you love the excitement of researching the stocks and figuring out which ones you want to buy and taking that money and buying it and then watching that price go up and go down and then ultimately picking that right time to sell and take your profits. And again, one of the best things about a Roth IRA is that if you are buying and selling stocks and you're making profits, you buy something at 50 cents and you buy 100 shares or 1,000 shares of it, and it goes up to $1 and you double your money on it, you don't have to pay those gains that year for taxes. And you don't have to pay those gains ever, as a matter of fact, inside of your Roth IRA, as long as you follow the rules. So for those that love to actively manage or day trade or grow their IRAs actively, Roths are an awesome opportunity because you're never paying the gains either now or when you take the money out. So if you are the type of person who's going to be managing your own account, and again, this isn't the comprehensive list, here are some tips that'll help you self-manage your own account. The first one is to know your tolerance for risk. And what I mean by that is if you invest $5,000 into your Roth IRA and you buy a stock at 50 cents a share and it goes down to 25 cents a share, how does that make you feel? Your 5,000 just turned into 2,500. Does that freak you out, or are you okay with that because you really believe that little stock that went down to 25 cents is going to go back up to 75 or $1 in the short term? And so if you're okay with those big swings of your account value, then your tolerance for risk is low. If this is all the money you have in the world, and it's not like just a speculative bucket, it's not like you have a 401k over here with 100,000 in it and you're 25 years old and you're just betting 6,000 on this Roth IRA and speculating with it. If this Roth IRA is all you have and it's your first account or it's your only money, then maybe your tolerance for risk is less. You know, and you can figure out your tolerance for risk with these online questionnaires, or you can call Bright Advisor or schedule an appointment with them. They can work with you to understand your tolerance for risk and what type of investments you should be in. Or if you already have an advisor, you could reach out to your current advisor and say, hey, I'd like to do a risk tolerance questionnaire. And they'll run you through whatever system they're using, and it's standardized questions. And as a result of that, you'll get a number, and that will tell you what type of tolerance you have and what type of investments you should be in. Okay, so that's tolerance for risk. Number 2 is to know your time horizon. If we're looking on our timeline of our life right here, and we're following along here, you can see along that we've got the years of our life here and then our wealth accumulating here. So as we go along our life, our wealth hopefully accumulates, and then we take income from it. Now, your time horizon starts where your current age is. So if you're in your 20s, it starts right there, and it ends technically where you're going to be checking out. So if this was 120 years old, maybe you were really healthy and you lived a long time, that whole period from when you are right now to when you pass away is your time horizon. And so the first part of that time horizon, this part right here between where you are, this is your accumulation years. These are the years where you're going to accumulate and gather as much money as you can. And then between your accumulation years and the time you pass, these are your income years. You're going to take income along these years. And so that's your total time horizon, your accumulation years and how many years you're going to live in income. And you need to make sure that your money is going to last you all the way along the way, your entire time horizon. And so Again, part of what to be paying attention to. Number 3 is to know your investment goals. Choose your investment goals. And before you start your Roth IRA and in growing your Roth IRA, you need to understand your goals. Are you a retirement planner? And are you planning for your retirement? Is that your goal? Are you using this for growth and you're looking to get income out of it at some point in the near future? Or are you using this for speculation and you want to buy and sell companies and swing for the big profits and you're just going to keep putting $6,000 every year in this Roth IRA, maxing it out and buying and selling companies? And that's what some people do with these type of accounts. Whatever is right for you is right for you. I'm not saying what you should or shouldn't be doing, but a Roth IRA has certain advantages to it that lead to certain types of investors because of the no gains taxes that you have to pay on this year's gains. And when you take your money out, there's no gains. Okay, number 4 is you need to research and then you need to buy your equities. And so you need to do the research on the companies and track them and monitor them and understand their historic performance and look at the levels of when the stocks are going up or going down if you're going to be buying your own stocks. If you're buying for the long term for retirement planning, then pick your ETFs or your mutual funds or the individual stocks that you're going to buy for the long haul because you think that they have a long-term profit in them. That's what Warren Buffett did. That was his style, was to pick companies for the long term. And you can see his book, well, you can't see it in that particular right there, Charlie Munger. That's Warren Buffett's other half. And those two guys built mass fortunes by buying companies for the long haul. Not so much concerned about the up and down of the stock. You're buying the company because you believe it has long-term potential. And so, again, some of the tips. Finally, you want to review and revise your strategy on an ongoing basis. And so those are some of the tips for managing your own account. And you may or may not be the type of person who wants to manage their own account. Speaking of Warren Buffett, one other tip that he left that he gives to young finance students or young individuals planning to grow their own retirement account, he says that, you know, if he had it to do over again, he would give you a punch card. And on that punch card, you have 20 abilities to punch holes. And each hole is one purchase of one company with your money. And you only get 20 punches your whole life. He said that's more than enough to build mass fortunes of wealth when it comes to growing your account. You don't need to have hundreds of great picks. You just need to wait and wait and wait and wait and do your research and find the right company that's right for you. And when you find the one that makes sense, that feels right, that you feel it inside, you know because you've done your own research that this particular company and its own business model is going to work, and then you can buy that company and you hold it. And you hold these companies for 5-10 years, and if you can get an average growth out of those companies of more than 7 or 10% a year, you're doing great. And so that leads me to the next point, that either you're the type of person that loves to do this on your own, or you're going to have an advisor do it for you. In either case, you have to measure your performance one way or the other. And on this one, you're going to measure your performance by tracking yourself against a benchmark. And when I say a benchmark, what I mean by that is if you took your current investment strategy, you started at $0 here, let's say at age 20, you contributed $6,000 a year every single year until you were 65, and you grew your account at an average of 7%, what would it turn into? And your advisor can run that for you, or there's online websites that can run that for you. But in any case, a benchmark that would track that performance, you invest that money, $6,000 a year, ongoing into the S&P 500, and you can see how would it have turned out, or how will it likely turn out going forward if I track my investments against the S&P 500. The S&P 500, since its inception back like in 98 years ago, or 92 years ago or so, it goes way back, it has about a 10%, between a 10 and 11% average rate of return, way back when. If you look at the S&P 500 over the last 40 years, you have maybe a 7 or an 8% rate of return, somewhere around there. If you look at it over the last 15 years, a little slice of time, the S&P 500 might be closer to 9 or 10%. In any case, the S&P 500 is a very easy ETF to buy, or a very easy mutual fund to buy on any platform, any brokerage account that you're on. You can log online and just type S&P 500 and find your pick. and you can buy a mutual fund or a ETF that mirrors the S&P 500 or some combination of the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones and or the NASDAQ or whatever you want to use for your benchmark. But you can buy the S&P 500 with your money and just leave it alone, and it will go up and down as the S&P 500 did, which again is a collection of 500 of the biggest companies in the stock market. And so if you can buy the S&P or the Dow Jones and you can earn, let's say, 9% on your money on average over the course of your life, then if that's what historically the S&P has been doing on its own, then either if you are tinkering with your own retirement account, you're buying and selling companies, or you have an advisor buying and selling companies for you, you should be able to outpace the S&P 500. You should be able to do better than that. If you're doing worse than that, if you're underperforming by tinkering, then you should stop doing that and you should just put your money in something that's going to just grow on its own. But if you can outpace it, then great, you got something going. If you're underpacing it, then figure out what you're doing and either just put the money in the total market, in a S&P 500 or some sort of total market fund and or target date fund and let it set. Now, you might want to have a professional financial advisor manage your account for you. They do this for a living. Now, there's two types of financial advisors, just so you know. There's the kind that create passive portfolios and the kind that create active management, where they're trading your account on a regular basis. Most financial advisors are passive. They're going to create an allocation and they're going to put it out in the stock market for you. Now, each year you're going to sit down with your financial advisor and they will take a look at the performance of your portfolio. Have them benchmark their performance against the S&P 500. If they're underperforming the S&P 500, then what are they doing? If they're outperforming the S&P 500, then they've got something going. You're doing a great job. Now, a financial advisor is going to cost somewhere between 1% and 2% per year for them to manage your funds. So they shouldn't just be mirroring the benchmark. They should be outperforming the benchmark by at least what they're charging you. Otherwise, you don't even need them. You could just put your money in the benchmark on your own. You need to make sure you're outperforming the benchmark. That's the key. And so you got to figure out what that's going to be, whether that's going to be the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones or whatever you're going to use for that. And your financial advisor should also be securities licensed. So you're going to want to make sure that they have a 65 license, a 7 license, maybe even a certified financial planner, which isn't necessarily a license, but it's a designation. The Bright Advisor team, by the way, has Series 65 investment advisory licenses. They have Series 7 stock brokerage licenses. They also have the certified financial planner designation on staff, and as well as other designations as well. So you're fully covered. If you have questions about your finances, you can talk and schedule an appointment with the Bright Advisor team. They're happy to meet with you. By the way, the Bright Advisor team, on the difference between active management and passive management, is an active managed portfolio. And what that means is those advisors are trading your stock account, your Roth account, your brokerage account, your IRA account every single month based on your risk tolerance that they predetermine with you. And they're actively seeking better gains than the benchmark. And so if they can outperform the benchmark historically and show that to you, then it's possible that they can do that going forward. And so it's always good to take a look at either your current advisor or the Bright Advisor team and have them take a second guess at what you're doing, or have them take a look at your Roth and have someone manage it for you professionally. So really quick, that's pretty much growing your Roth IRA, either doing it on your own or having a professional team doing it for you. And when it comes to your Roth, the whole idea of growing it is so that you can grow it to an ultimate amount of money that you can start taking income out of. And there are certain rules around when you can take money out of your IRA. You have to leave it there for a certain period of time, but if you follow those rules, then all that income coming out is tax-free. Well, hopefully you found value in today's video and you have a better idea of growing your Roth IRA. If you found value in today's video, please subscribe to the BrightWealth YouTube channel and click that notification bell for future videos. As well, if you have any questions, you can leave those in the comments below. And if it's not obvious, if you have specific questions about your Roth IRA, you can schedule an appointment with the Bright Advisor team by clicking the link in the description of this video. This is the BrightWealth YouTube channel. My name's Scott McLaine. It's not what you make, it's what you do with what you make.